Today on the Topping Show, RFK Jr. says to vote for Donald Trump in order to avoid nuclear war. Trump is completing 2 times more events than Kamala Harris. A Holocaust survivor reacts to Kamala Harris comparing Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. A federal judge orders illegals reinstated for voter rolls in Virginia. Elon posts a meme, or rather a list of all the countries in which voter ID is required. Non-citizens in Minnesota say that they are registered to vote. Nvidia passes Apple once again to become the world's most valuable company. Neiman Marcus removes the word Christmas from their Christmas catalog. And Costco recalling some of their salmon. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn more. And yes, you can mount it to a standard AR-15 Picatinny rail. Lastly, trying to get you 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Nvidia overtaking Apple once again to become the world's most valuable company, which is a feat to say the least. Now this comes to us thanks to New York Times, which also takes credit from Reuters, which they say simply, Nvidia overtakes Apple as the world's most valuable company at $3.5 trillion valuation. Now, granted, that's based on their stock. It's not like they have $3.5 trillion in sales. That would be astronomically good. Their sales are good. They're not that great yet. Now here you can see some of the cool little pictures of the Nvidia GPUs or graphics cards. You can see they're one of the few companies that I really admire where the founder is still leading the company is Nvidia. And if you go to his LinkedIn profile, it's hilarious because again, his first corporate job or the job where he worked for someone else's, I believe as a waiter or dishwasher at Denny's. Then of course at that Denny's restaurant, they came up with the idea of Nvidia and they've just been growing ever since, seemingly exponentially. Now, they say that, quote, Nvidia dethroned Apple as the world's most valuable company last Friday, following a record-setting rally on the stock powered by insatiable demand for the supercomputing AI chips, which, again, if you're not big into tech, Nvidia, not a lot of people know from a consumer perspective, unless you're building your own PC. But if you buy a laptop, more often than not, from a consumer perspective, you'll see a little green Nvidia sticker or a little, their logo put onto the base of the laptop. So you can see it's their graphics card inside, which, again, that's a big part of their portfolio. But a big area where they really win business is the data center, which, again, remember, there's no such thing as a cloud. It's just someone else's computer in a warehouse, usually halfway across the country. Now, that's where they really make a lot of their money. And especially with the new AI demand, they're selling a lot of these chips in massive volume to the big tech companies. So that's where a lot of their business continues to come from. Now, they say that Nvidia stock market reached a brief value of 3.53 trillion, while Apple is at a mere 3.52 trillion, according to data from LSGG. They also note in June, Nvidia briefly passed the world's most valuable company before it was overtaken by Microsoft and Apple. The tech trio market capitalizations have been a neck-and-neck race for several months. Microsoft's market value stood at 3.2 trillion, which, geez Louise, hindsight is always 2020 when it comes to investing. None of this is financial advice. But geez Louise, when a bunch of my friends went over to work for Dell, coming from Hewlett Packard Enterprise, I remember the stock price at Microsoft was like $40 per share. And we thought it was overpriced. Hilariously ignorant because, again, that is now worth around $400 per share at Microsoft, which is astronomically successful. Even more impressive when you consider consumer PC sales are decreasing overall. But again, Microsoft gets a lot of the money from corporate accounts, on licensing, yada, yada, yada. Now, they scroll down and continue to say, quote, the next big test will come when Nvidia reports third quarter sales in November, which, remember Q2 sales, people were literally taking days off work just to sit and wait for the earnings call. It's it reminded me of a Halo 2 launch party back in the day. And a lot of people joking that Nvidia is holding up, single-handedly propping up the U.S. economy. And again, that earnings call, the biggest thing that made people, hesitant was they did hit their number in terms of they actually overachieved what they promised Wall Street. They said they're going to make their sales, but the rate at which they beat the expectations was not as great as the previous fiscal quarters. So a lot of people became hesitant, thinking maybe they're running out of steam or maybe the market's slowing down. So yeah, that November, I only partially joke that November earnings call will be second only to the U.S. presidential election in terms of people tuning in. It's that such a gravitational company. Now they say, quote, Nvidia in August forecasted third quarter revenue of 32.5 billion, plus or minus 2%, compared to the current average analyst expectations of 32.9 billion, which, again, if you really want to knock off the stocks of investors, beat those expectations. They also know that Morgan Stanley analyst Joseph Moore said in a note dated October 10th, he remains very bullish about the company longer term, but the recent rally, quote, raises the bar earnings somewhat. Here you see one of those ginormous GPUs. There's Tim Cook looking a little sad. Again, both these companies are doing fantastic, but yeah, I'm sure. Let's just say I'm sure Tim Cook is not losing a minute of sleep over this brief lapse of market valuation. Now, they also note that shares of Nvidia, Apple, and Microsoft have outsized influence on the richly valued tech sector as well as broader U.S. market, with the trio, geez Louise, the trio accounting for a fifth of the S&P 500 index weightage, which that's pretty darn top heavy. Remember, the S&P 500 is one of the, again, not financial advice, one of the most popular index funds, which again say, well, as the word might have you think, it's a mix of those 500 companies that they best think represent the U.S. economy. Rudimentary, simply put. So a lot of people are speculating. And geez, ever since they're talking about, ever since the AI boom, these stocks have gone up, 190% plus, which, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of speculation, but there's a lot of companies putting real money behind it, real research and innovation. They're building these data centers out, and we are seeing more and more business utilization as well as end user utilization of AI. So, I mean, I don't think this is just one of those cliche, flash in the pan ideas. I think this is the trend going to go well into 2025, and the demand is not going to decrease anytime soon for these GPUs. And again, one of the biggest issues with trying to compete with Nvidia is how, because just the upfront fiscal cost, especially if I'm going to manufacturing these products, which again, Nvidia, they do manufacture some of their chips, don't get me wrong, but very similar to companies like Intel, they're mostly known for the actual research development architecture of the actual product, and then they outsource it to, like, for example, I have a Nvidia, what is it, 3080 Ti graphics card in my podcast editing PC that I built, but that graphics card was actually manufactured by Gigabyte. The Gigabyte was manufactured, but they pay a licensing, and Nvidia works with them. So it'll be interesting. I think Nvidia will continue to chooch along and do pretty good into 2025. And again, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, they probably won't be the most valuable company because, again, they go back and forth and people trade. I mean, especially when you have all these assisting tools for how you can trade on the New York Stock Exchange, all this stuff. By the time this video is rendered, it'll be different. But I suspect they'll continue to be one of the largest, most valuable companies out there. And let me know, do you think, I mean, some people say it's overhyped. Some people say, it's way too high. I mean, even they split the stock and it went down to 100. I think it's already back up to like $140 per share. So, I mean, they seem to be growing and growing and growing. But let me know. I mean, the Q2 kind of came out. The growth is a little bit less. But I guess that'd be an interesting question. Again, not financial advice, but do you think now's the time to, buy? Or do you think, well, it's a little bit queasy, maybe no time? Let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Neiman Marcus removing the word Christmas from their catalog after about 100 years. Now, one of those instances where this isn't too surprising. Neiman Marcus, again, it used to be a proud Texas-based company. I think it was Q2 last year. They bought out by a third party, so there's some private equity put in there for mix it up a little bit. But it is unfortunate. But on average, the U.S. religious rates are dropping pretty significantly throughout the years. And I mean, Neiman Marcus is trying to expand to appeal to everyone. It's just kind of cliche in retail, or most companies in general. Now that I think about it, but I'm not too surprised. It's a little sad because it would be funny if they still had Santa on the cover. But in terms of companies actually being stalwarts of religion, or standing up for anything, it's pretty rare these days. I can count on one hand the number of religious large companies that are still well known in the United States. And most of them are very long established companies, mostly family. Most of them are still the family. One of the most famous ones being the Green family with Hobby Lobby. But let me know, do you think this will have any impact on Neiman Marcus sales? I mean, they past couple of fiscal quarters have really adamantly said they want to go for very much a smaller quantity of customers, but more give the higher quantity or quality ones in terms of them defining quantity or quality rather as net worth individuals that are very high. I think they said they only want to target prospective clients over like 1.2 million in net assets. So it'll be interesting. But let me know, do you think, I mean, this will have any impact at all on Neiman Marcus? Do you think there'll be any backlash? let me know, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have Elon Musk posting a list of all the countries that require voter ID and, or rather ID to vote. And yeah, US is not there, of course. Now, this comes to us thanks to Elon, straight from good old X. And he's actually responding to someone by the name of the Rothmus, who does a little infographic from Fox Business. And he says, but it's only racist, or Rothman says it's only racist in the US. Now, Elon says, quote, almost every country on earth requires voter ID. Why not America? That got 29.9 million views as well as 226,000 likes, which, well, it's because they can cheat. I can't think of a legitimate reason why you do not require voter ID, or rather an ID to vote, but pretty much everything else you do in life requires an ID. I mean, shoot, the list is so numerous. And just think about it for New York Minute. You got your car, just to drive a car in the United States, you have a driver's license. In some states, you have to, for concealed carry, you have to have a concealed carry license. Again, requires an ID. You got a library card. If you want to buy pharmaceuticals, you want to check out a library book. If you want to buy tobacco or tobacco products, if you want to rent a car, if you want to go to a hotel, if you want to go to a doctor, if you want to buy, you could debate in terms of the Second Amendment if you should need an ID for that, but another time perhaps. But there's so many things in which you need an ID, but this is the one thing Democrats say, oh yeah, it'd be racist to insinuate you need that. And spoiler alert, my family's from Cuba. We all got IDs pretty darn quick. And no, we didn't swim over here. Actually, we got one of the last planes out, or my mom did. Fascinating story for another time, perhaps. Now, let's go over through all the countries that require voter ID. Pretty much all of them. You got Iceland, Sweden, New Zealand, Denmark, even Canada, Ireland, Switzerland, Finland, Australia, Luxembourg, which everyone forgets is a country, but nevertheless, Netherlands, Germany, Austria, go for Glocks. What else are they known for? And making BMWs with the Supra. Malta, the UK, Spain, Honduras, Uruguay, Japan, Italy, France, South Korea, Costa Rica. I'm going to butcher this one not intentionally. Botswana, Portugal, Estonia, Israel, Czech Republic, India, Taiwan, Chile, Belgium, waffles, and FN Herstal products. Some of the best rifles out there, bar none. Cyprus, Slovenia, Lithuania, South Africa, Jamaica, Latvia, Slovakia, Greece, Panama, Bulgaria, Indonesia, Argentina, Poland, Brazil, Ghana, Croatia, Hungary, Colombia, even Colombia, Peru, El Salvador, Romania, Serbia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Georgia, the country, not the state, Honduras, Ecuador, Bangladesh, Ukraine, well, they don't suspend voting, Bolivia, Turkey, Kenya, Thailand, Lebanon, Nicaragua, Venezuela, even Venezuela, Palestine, Pakistan, Iraq, Haiti. And yet the US, nope. Also missing is Mexico, I believe. Unless I missed that. But nevertheless, a long and extensive list, and yet, yep, US isn't one of them. And I think this will be a big topic, especially this election. One of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman, who says, quote, voter ID should be mandated in all 50 states, getting 1.6 thousand likes, which, yeah, the fact that it's not is quite concerning to say the least. Chuck Costello says, quote, that's a great question, X. Why America? Getting 303 likes. Planet of Memes, a little disappointing, they did not, in fact, respond in meme form. This alleged Planet of Memes says, quote, are all these countries racist? Of course not. It's a ridiculous argument by the Democrats, getting 656 likes. Cash Loren says because Democrats want to cheat, getting 9 likes. Let's see. Sprinkles the Great has a picture of Elon with text on it. It says, quote, failure to require voter ID is, I don't know why, is dyslexia? I always get that mixed up. Failure to require photo ID to vote obviously makes it impossible to prove voter fraud. That is why the far left refused to require photo ID to vote, gaining 326 likes. And it's not just the far left. I mean, you had that bill where every Democrat voted against it. So it's not just the far left or the leftist. Stone Toss Comics, A+, they actually responded in comic form. Perfect name. Says movie theaters have better security than the U.S. voting system. That's some. They have, oh, that's true, yeah. I forgot. So they have a cartoon guy trying to rent a rated R movie. It says ID, please. Someone at the DMV says ID, please. Someone at the TSA says ID, please. Then the voting booth, and the guy's just quiet. They got 3,000. Let's see if we can make it 3,001. Oh, no. But still, 3,000 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Omid Shah parody account says only solution says how to actually fix the system. And it's, what is it, Hunter Biden? Now, who is this? Nancy Pelosi, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Fauci. What was that other one? Kamala and Bill Gates, all in like orange. Is it prisoner? What do you call the prisoner? The orange jumpsuits. Got 733 likes. Ridiculous. How is Hillary Clinton a criminal? It's not as if she has had a statistically high, unusual number of people around her who just coincidentally committed suicide. There's like 23 or 27 by now. She's obviously a brilliant, intelligent, wise woman who would never be corrupt or, cheat in any way. Coincidentally, I do want to state that I am very happy with my life, or at least very content, and plan to live a very long and fulfilling life. Just randomly, just want to throw it out there. Throwing down more and more. Oh man, you got a AI generated picture of Elon in a black t-shirt and aviator glasses standing behind something that's blowing up, says smash the Democrat machine, getting 125 likes. CEL says because people who want to cheat, don't like voter ID, getting 953 likes. Let's see, I'm not seeing too many contrarian statements here. And again, a lot of people in America think you should not have to show a voter ID. So it's not like it's zero people out there. There's many people, in fact. Marjorie Taylor Greene press release parody account, which I actually forget. I don't think I follow Marjorie Taylor Greene, but to me it's funny that I see more of the parody account than the real one, but I partially digress. Marjorie Taylor Greene press release parody account says, because Democrats love to cheat, getting 666 likes. Let's see. Not too many. Let's see. Brooks Crenshaw says, because, and it's an animated GIF of someone clicking the cheat button, getting 1 like. Let's see. Here's a long, or comically long and extensive list of everything you need a voter or an ID in order to get things done. So why not? Let's see. I speak it so fast I could probably hammer that all off in a minute. I partially jest. I know that's one of the complaints on the show and something I'm trying to fix. So here's a brief list of when voter IDs are required. And this is thanks to Morgan Le Fay, Patriot American First account. Long profile name. Remember, I'm on the X Twitter as #, the Topping Show. So here's when voter IDs are required: driving, boarding an airplane, purchasing a car, getting a car registration, renting a car, buying insurance, buying train tickets. As youth might say, that's a little sus. I don't know anyone else that goes on this train these days. Partially kidding. Obtaining a passport, picking up mail from FedEx, UPS, post office, renting tools, furniture, equipment, visiting a doctor's office, getting outpatient testing, donating blood, getting a prescription, buying certain over-the-counter medications, applying for a job, applying for school, applying for a professional license, getting married, checking a book out from the library, joining the military, adopting a child, transacting at the bank, sending a wire transfer, applying for online banking, applying for a store credit, establishing a utilities account, water, light, electric, cable, etc., getting a check, getting a credit card, opening a retirement account, applying for a mortgage, buying a house, applying for a rental apartment, renting a hotel room, buying a cell phone, going to court, entering a federal building, getting a business license, getting a state ID, cashing in a lottery ticket, obtaining Medicare, Medicaid, applying for food stamps, applying for welfare, applying for unemployment, using Social Security services, applying for Section 8 housing, applying for H-1B visa or green card, holding a rally or protest, buying a firearm, adopting a pet, applying for a hunting license, applying for a fishing license. You need that, but I know you have to buy it. And I know it does go to the parks, yada yada, but you need a license just to feed yourself? A little ridiculous. Joining a gym, using a pawn shop, buying annual tickets to an amusement park, entering a nightclub, volunteering for a nonprofit, voting in a union election, buying cigarettes, buying liquor, visiting a casino, buying rated M video games, going to jail, participating in outdoor activities like skydiving, bungee jumping, and then participating in political events. Did they forget buying rated R movies too? I mean, same idea with rated M video games, just a different media mode. So, unfortunately, not many places have physical media. But, yep, that's, and then, of course, it says when valid IDs are not required, it says voting. Got 60 likes. Which, yep, kind of suspicious. That's the one thing that they think, oh, yeah, you shouldn't need an ID for that. And, call me foolishly optimistic, perhaps, but I think more and more people are starting to realize, yeah, IDs are kind of important for elections, and I don't think there's much logic or really reason for not to have them. But let me know in the comments, what's the average, for folks who do work in corporate America and they do talk about politics, Is this something that's brought up around the proverbial water cool? Yeah, well, the water cooler. Been quite some time since I've been in corporate America, but I assume they still have water coolers and cringe dad jokes because that's all I can get away with these days. But let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news: you have non-citizens in Minnesota saying that they are registered to vote, and it seems like their employer is doing them. Next question: which employer is it? Now this comes to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, in which she says, quote, breaking, non-citizens in Minnesota say that they are registered to vote, but the media told me this never happens. That's why 198 Democrats voted against a bill requiring proof of U.S. citizenship to vote. Video credited to Real Muckraker, Muckraker, and hashtag, or the other @ oversight PR. And it's about 6 minutes. We'll just play the first minute here or two, kind of get the idea.
Have you been registered?
Yes,
And was it at work?
at work.
Are you a citizen or not yet?
No.
Are you already registered?
Yes, we are.
Were you registered at work?
Yeah, that's right.
So you're not a citizen yet.
No, they haven't given me anything yet.
Who do you prefer, President Trump or Kamala Harris?
I mean, not Trump.
No?
Definitely not him.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has bragged about turning his state into a sanctuary for non-citizens from around the world. In 2023,
On that note, there's a reason they redesigned their flag to a rudimentary flag that looks like the country of Somalia's flag. They used to have a beautiful flag. I mean, back in the day, Minnesota had a beautiful historic flag for hundreds of years. It's very ornate with very beautiful designs, but now it's as if a child used crayon with only 3 or 4 colors. I'm pretty sure Trump said that when asked for comment about the flag. I'm only partially jesting, and perhaps that was the worst Trump impression you heard all year. But at least that's a number 1 at something. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Walz signed into law the Driver's License for All bill, which allowed non-citizens with any immigration status to get a license. Shortly thereafter,
It says any, but the paperwork highlighted says allow all undocumented residents, many of whom drive after school work, to get a driver's license to prove they're safe drivers and qualify for car insurance.
Shortly thereafter, Walz signed into law the Democracy for the People Act, which automatically registers people to vote through Minnesota's driver and vehicle services. We conducted our own investigation in Minnesota to ensure that the non-citizens Tim Walz...
Whoa, fact check here. They have streaming video of Minnesota. It's probably in Minneapolis, and it's not on fire? That's pretty rare. We're going to have to do some further investigations.
Walz advocates for are not abusing our electoral system. Shockingly, at one apartment complex in Minneapolis, a staggering 31% of the individuals we spoke to admitted to being non-citizens who were registered to vote. Our investigation raises
another very unusual thing. Who lives in Minnesota and they have a t-shirt on? I understand, I always say all men truly, all men always. Suit up, of course. However, this person is at their home. They're not expecting the camera necessarily. And they actually have a t-shirt that says Washington, D.C. Which, I don't know I'm trying to think. I don't know anyone in my life, and I have people on left, right, all political affiliations. I don't know anyone who would actually willingly want to wear one, yet alone buy one or obtain a Washington, D.C. shirt. Like, even if you went there for vacation. Because I know there's some, good museums and stuff, but even if you went there, would you want to represent the city? I don't know. To me, that's weird, too.
Who were registered to vote. Our investigation raises serious questions about election integrity in Minnesota, and the implications for the 2024 presidential election are deeply concerning.
Venimos con una organización que se dedica a registrar a la gente hispana.
I'm kicking myself. I only know a little bit of Spanish. But nevertheless, they do actually have text on screen. Now the text says, quote, we're an organization that helps people register Hispanic people
Se dedica a registrar a la gente hispana para poder votar
to vote in upcoming elections
en
next
las
month.
elecciones que vienen el mes que viene. Mucha gente dice que ya lo registraron
Which, again, if they're citizens, that's fine. It's awesome. And it's continuing to say, quote, many people that say they've already been registered at work
en el trabajo o en el supermercado.
or the supermarket.
Usted ya está registrada.
Sí,
Ya está.
también en el trabajo.
I said, yes, I'm also registered at work.
¿En el trabajo? Ah, ok. ¿Usted es ciudadana o no es ciudadana?
No.
No es.
No.
So, usted
And it says, are you a citizen? No.
no es ciudadana, ¿verdad?
No.
Venimos con una organización que se dedica a registrar a la gente hispana para poder votar en las elecciones que vienen el mes que viene. ¿Usted ya está registrado?
Sí,
¿Ya está?
estamos, sí, gracias.
¿O en el trabajo lo
Sí,
registraron?
así es.
Ah, ok.
Sí, trabajo
ok.
en el...
¿Cómo?
Oh, why do they censor that work?
Trabajo.
Ah, sí, ahí
Sí,
lo
ahí
registraron.
ahí es donde estamos.
Y oiga, ¿y usted es ciudadano o no es ciudadano?
En eso estoy.
En eso
Ahorita,
está.
Así es.
So, no.
So are you becoming a citizen? I'm working on it. Again, this undercover reporter was posing as someone trying to get people registered to vote. And again, it's really good. Go to Oversight Project on X Twitter, see the whole 6.5-minute video. And yeah, pretty concerning, and especially sounds like election interference to me. And again, if you're an employer, especially larger employer, there is extra scrutiny on making sure you employ people who are proper U.S. citizens. They have the whole additional background check, or the background check that entails that component. And yeah, those, granted, perhaps the size and scope of those companies, they'll never go out of business, like 3M or something like that. It's famously headquartered in Minnesota. But yeah, that's pretty darn concerning. I would think every American would be outraged and irate that this is happening. But not so much. It did go moderately viral. It got 1.1 million views as well as 43,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Paul Zuzupa says, quote, Democrats will always cheat at the elections so long as they're not legally stopped from doing it. That's a given. That's why Kamala let all those illegals in, getting 158 likes, which, again, record number of illegals in the past 43 months is about 11 million estimated, which, yeah, it was the worst in history. That's more than the population of most states, which is astronomically concerning, especially if they don't share our morals and values, and especially because we've seen the statistics on how many of them, again, not all of them, but some of them are straight up criminals. Not the good kind, the bad. Like, some of them are committing the worst crimes against humanity and hurting women and children, and even taking other people's lives. It's been estimated about 400,000 plus in that regard. And again, it's pretty concerning. It's obviously putting stress on local municipalities, local, a lot of these cities aren't set up to handle that influx. And yeah, everyone should be pissed and irate and concerned, but yeah, apparently not so much. People are, you see, like in pop culture these days, be like, oh yeah, what's Taylor Swift singing about these days? Oh, Beyonce's going to sing at Kamala's thingamajig. Well, she's very wise. I'll listen to her. Which, don't get me started on people, on celebrities endorsing people, celebrities endorsing politicians and people giving them creed, or people being influenced by them. But I think it's ridiculous on both sides to it, to be frank. If you need a celebrity to tell you to vote, probably shouldn't be voting. Nevertheless, I'll get back to the comments. And again, click that subscribe button. It may very well help with my speaking ineptitudes. I know sometimes I speak way too fast. I'm actively working on that. When I first started the show, I had no subscribers. Well, I had 2 or 3 thanks to family members, but my speaking was terrible. I spoke even faster back then and mispronounced things, and truth be told, stumbled over my words worse than Joe Biden trying to climb upstairs. However, as I slowly but surely gain more subscribers, I've become more articulate and better with my speaking. Granted, some might argue it's just a modicum of improvement, but nevertheless an improvement. So, if you go ahead and click that button and tell your friends, I greatly appreciate it. Shoot, tell your enemies. They might be so pissed because they hate the show, you can kind of poke the bear, so to say, proverbial speaking, or maybe they become your friends because they like the show and you bond over it. I'm not sure what the statistical outcome of that being, less than 2%, but a wise pilot once said, never tell me the odds. Now, going back to me attempting to read the comments, you also have, let's see, Marauder Magazine saying, quote, they walk among us thanks to the Biden-Harris administration. It says, your enemy is not in Russia. It's a picture of, well, at least the folks I do recognize. It's Kerry, Fauci, George Soros, Obama, another guy, let's see, Charles Schwab, Bill Gates, and I don't recognize another individual. That did get 208 likes. This is kind of funny. It's the Riddler, the old school Riddler from like the 50s or 60s. I believe it was the era with Adam West. This one, his profile is hashtag unusual pregnant, saying riddle, says riddled me this. If voter fraud is so low, why do liberals throw a temper tantrum anybody whenever anyone bothers to check, getting 177 likes? See, not enough people clicked on the button to subscribe, so I would have spoken better. Just click that button. I only partially jest. Let's see here. You have the thinking meme, and this person's name is masculine based, saying, quote, just think, if non-citizens are allowed to vote, we could start seeing billions of ballots for every election, and your ballot would statistically be meaningless. Getting 36 likes. Let's see here. Let's see. Not seeing any contrarian statements here. Not too surprised. And I mean, the real question is, will these businesses be charged? Because again, and especially if you're a which I'm trying to think of the U.S. breakdown where defense contractors are located. It is typically D.C. and more southern. I'm not sure how many well, no, 3M does make some fantastic substances and materials, research and development. They're darn near second to none. I would guess that they have federal sales. If you're a federal contractor doing business with the federal government, there's even more scrutiny, also national security implications for not just hiring illegals. Again, some of them might be here legally on the visas, but if you're getting them registered to vote, that could be some pretty big implications in terms of fines, fees, or additional regulation. So I would think that would be an extra incentive for businesses to not do this. But let me know, dude, how common do you think this is, and who's driving this? Are the businesses aware of this, or are they just being woefully ignorant? Let me know, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have RFK Jr. saying to vote for Trump if you want to avoid nuclear war. This comes to us straight from the horse's mouth, so to say, coming from RFK Jr.'s ex-Twitter account. It's about 5 minutes long. We'll play the first minute or two here. If you want me to play the full videos when we're going over this, let me know in the comments and make the show a little bit longer. But again, feedback is also appreciated. Now, before his video, he says, quote, "If you want to avoid nuclear war, I strongly urge you to vote for Donald Trump. In fact, I would go so far as to say a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for nuclear war," unquote. And of course, as all good men do, he did suit up.
If you want to avoid nuclear war, I strongly urge you to vote for Donald Trump. In fact, I would go so far as to say that a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for nuclear war. Here are some of my reasons for saying that. Former Vice President Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala, and she said she was honored to have his approval. Dick Cheney was the driving force behind a group called the Neocons, which started the Iraq War, in which the U.S. launched an unprovoked preemptive attack, the first in its history, in order to prevent Saddam Hussein from threatening the world with weapons of mass destruction. As history now shows, there were no weapons of mass destruction. It was all a neocon lie. Most estimates are that over 1 million Iraqis died, while the USA and allied forces suffered over 4,800 deaths and over 32,000 wounded. We killed more Iraqis than Saddam Hussein ever did. This fraction of our military and intelligence establishment that we call the neocons, led by Dick Cheney, faked the evidence of weapons of mass destruction because they wanted a war. In 1961, President Eisenhower warned the American people of the dangers of the emerging military-industrial complex that would try to embroil us in a nuclear war with Russia. He pointed out that these warmongering elements in the Pentagon and intelligence apparatus relished war and reveled in it, including nuclear war. My uncle, President John F. Kennedy, confronted his own Joint Chiefs of Staff and his intelligence officials who proposed to fake the shooting down of an American civilian airliner and blame it on Cuba in order to justify a nuclear war with Russia. John Kennedy stood up to them and refused to go along. President Kennedy
And we all know what happened next.
He was shocked by another military proposal to launch a surprise nuclear attack on the Soviet Union. The uniform meant that the USA would win because the Soviets would suffer over 130 million deaths, while in America, only 30 million would die. After John Kennedy's assassination, the Gulf of Tonkin incident was used to justify war on Vietnam. It wasn't until almost 40 years later that it was shown conclusively to be untrue. The North Vietnamese did not.
Yep. That went pretty well. I got 5.4 million views and 136,000 likes. And yep, it's the first time in my lifetime when Trump is in office when we have no new wars. And fascinatingly enough, the U.S. military leaders were not fired for their lies and ineptitudes when, well, I guess not ineptitudes, they did their unethical things or they lied. And they lied not out of lack of intellect. They did it. They're just malicious and evil. Trump tried to get our troops out of Syria, but they didn't. They told Trump, oh yeah, we got our troops out of Syria. And then later under oath, one of the generals admitted, oh yeah, we just told Trump that we actually just moved guys around in Syria. We never actually left. And another general say that, oh yeah, he would warn China if Trump ever were to do an offensive strike. Which sounds like treason. But of course, if you're on one side of the political aisle, you don't get charged these days. Going to the comment section, you have Craig Chamberlain saying, quote, At the very least, everyone has to admit there was no new wars when Trump was in office, unlike the massive unrest overseas that has occurred during the Biden-Harris administration. Getting 295 likes and true. Fascinatingly enough, the one time Russia has not been expanding their landmass past couple years is when Trump was in office. They expanded over Obama. They expanded during I think it was even Bush. Didn't do anything under Trump. They expanded during Obama. Or sorry, Obama 3.0. Biden. But Ukraine's also got $200 billion. I still can't fathom how much money we're spending on other countries, but not spending here. American Papa Bear says, quote, Trump is the only one that can save us in the moment from our enemy within, getting 156 likes. Email Strong says, these are facts, getting 244 likes. Finally, Planet of Memes did in fact respond in meme form. And he says, quote, mean tweets equals world peace. Is a picture of Trump holding some poster board that literally says mean tweets. And Trump would probably say, I would say the meanest tweets got us the world peace. No new wars. Let's protect the border, not countries we don't know about or don't trade with. Again, perhaps the worst Trump impression of all time, but the attempt was made nevertheless. That got 402 likes, not me, but that meme. Another friendly reminder to like this video or downvote it and let me know why in the comments. Yeah, Trump Army says, quote, together they will bring peace to the world. And it's Trump as well as RFK Jr. with holding baseball bats. It says Republicans and Democrats united against evil, getting 211 likes, which, again, the way the Democrat Party screwed over RFK Jr. by basically boxing him out, becoming the Democrat nominee. And even, think about, which party is a party of unification. Shoot, Trump's got RFK Jr., he's got Tulsi Gabbard. Who does Kamala have? Oh yeah, the Cheneys and Bush. Yeah. Going back to more comments here. You also have Zion Darkwood said this ad has been paid for by Russia. A contrarian statement. Getting 3.1 thousand likes. Let's see here. Some response said, you do not understand what's happening in the world then, getting 105 likes. Another person says, brainwashed you are, getting 20 likes. Let's see. It can't only be one, says the ad that wants to prevent a war, global nuclear war, getting 85 likes. Mentally vacuous, but a lot of people did appreciate that. Scott Ritter says, quote, RFK Jr. as head of the newly reconstituted Arms Control and Disarmament Agency. Your uncle created the original in 1961 and it saved the world. The baton can be passed. Getting 1.2 thousand likes. Wall Street Ape says, Kamala Harris will lead us into World War III so BlackRock can make a fortune off their defense contractor stocks and then get rewarded in more trillion-dollar contracts to rebuild the countries that we just destroyed. It's a racket. They're all criminals. Kamala is owned by BlackRock, getting 970 likes. It also shows you the ineptitudes of Boeing. Every defense contractor from Northrop Grumman to Lockheed Martin to Raytheon, also known as RTX. Again, I know I'm speaking too fast. I'm working on that. They've all gone up fantastically the past couple of years. Boeing's the only one that's gone down, which also highlights how bad they are as a company. We'll see if they fix themselves. But yeah, if you own defense stocks, you're doing pretty darn good these days. In fact, take a New York minute here. What is Lockheed doing right now? They're the #1 defense contractor on the planet, best known for the F-35 Lightning II. Let's see here. And again, they make some of the coolest stuff on the planet. Don't get me wrong. $563.47 per share. Year to date, Lockheed Martin is up 23.53%. Past 1 year is up 25%. Past 5 year trend, it's up 51.98%. Market cap 100. Actually, still not. Don't get me wrong. It's the biggest defense contractor, but still, there's a market cap barely anything compared to Nvidia. The market cap right now for Lockheed Martin is $134 billion. Dividend yield of 2.34%, which is quite a pretty penny. Going back to the main comments section, we got a couple contrarian comments, not too many though. Naomi Shibut says a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for war. Those are hard words to hear, and America needs to hear them, getting 801 likes. We found another contrarian statement. John Cipher says, oh my god, you're awful, getting 331 likes. Hilariously enough, he puts in his description, former CIA. Yeah, I think that's probably one comment where RFK Jr. is probably happy they don't agree with him. Let's see. Any more countries? I got Roxy Ricconi says, I believe you. I'm voting for Donnie T because voting for him is also a vote for you, Vance, and Tulsi. Getting 403 likes. Which, I have never seen such a unification ticket in my lifetime in terms of diversity of who's Trump building around him, who's endorsing him. And yeah, I mean, again, even my friends who are, more left leaning, even they love the fact there's no new wars. There you go. There's a picture that says Team Unity, Trump Vance 2024. It's a picture of Donald Trump. We also have JD Vance, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., Elon, as well as Vivek. So, we got a couple more pictures of Trump with RFK Jr. And yeah, I think overall, I think that point will drive a lot of the peace folks, because again, it seems to kind of fall out from pop culture. You don't see a lot of like the whole hippie movement, so to say. But there's a lot of people who just want no new wars. So a lot of people who want our troops to be here, guard our border, not borders of countries you don't even trade with, yet alone point you on a map. Partially because of the U.S. education system, but I partially digress in that regard. But I think this will be, I know everyone, I mean, obviously the economy, inflation, southern border, there's a lot of top topics when it comes to the upcoming election. But again, the fact that there's no new war when Trump is in office, I can't help but think more and more Americans, as they start to be concerned about, the federal deficit and more tax dollars going to all these other countries, I can't help but think a lot of this will be a top issue for many people. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have a Holocaust survivor reacting to Kamala Harris comparing Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. Now this comes to Clay Travis, says, quote, 91-year-old Auschwitz camp Holocaust survivor and Trump voter calls out Kamala for comparing Trump to Hitler. This is powerful, share it, which, wow, 94 years old. Say one thing, men were built tougher back then. Jeez Louise.
My name is Jerry Wartsky. I'm 94 years old and survivor of Auschwitz and the death marches. Adolf Hitler invaded Poland when I was 9 years old. He murdered my parents and most of our family. I know more about Hitler than Kamala will ever know in 1,000 lifetimes. For her to accuse President Trump of being like Hitler is the worst thing I've ever heard in my 75 years living in the United States. I know President Trump, and he would never say this, and Kamala Harris knows this. She owes my parents and everybody else who was murdered by Hitler an apology for repeating this lie.
Why should the Jewish people support President Trump?
Because he's a mensch. I believe that President Trump is definitely going to be good for Israel, because in everything that he's done up to now was in favor. He never double-crossed anyone, and he never showed any weakness. Watching President Trump pray for the hostages at the OL and spend time with him so meaningful. He has always stood with the Jewish people and the state of Israel.
Heartbreaking and very touchy, and of course he did, not of course, but he also did show his tattoo, where they gave him the numbers from their concentration camps, where those numbers actually, morbid business fact of the day, come from IBM with the punch card technologies. One of the most horrific and also technological interesting books is IBM and the Holocaust by Edwin Black. It is one of the most complex, in terms of business orchestration books I've read in my lifetime, but it's very thorough. And those numbers in terms of who did the census to find out who they were and then organize logistically where the trains did, all that was on punch card technology. And it's to see, there's something about seeing those numbers on that arm that's still to this day, it's horrifying. This got, again, 1.5 million views as well as 48,000 likes. And one of the top comments, I follow him, but it's a leftist, Keith Aloha, who, again, the one time it is appropriate to have an emoji in your name, perhaps. His name is Keith Aloha, and it's a palm tree. And you go to his profile as a famous leftist. Well, famous, he's got 18,000 followers. Describes himself as cliche, vote blue, animal lover, pro-choice, never Trump. Although if he was really an animal lover, shouldn't he care about the dogs being eaten? They're eating the dogs, they're grilling the cats. I'm only partially kidding. But he, again, in true leftist fashion, does not address the substance of the post. He just says, remember November 5th, the choice is clear. Trump has an enemy list like a weak bully. Kamala has a to-do list for all Americans. Yeah, why hasn't she done anything? Of course, no one responded to him, but again, that's one of the first, comments, because I do follow him and try to get some diversity of thought and don't want to be an echo chamber. But yeah, okay, Keith. Now, one of the first real comments comes from MAGA Hombre saying, quote, incredibly powerful, invoking Hitler is disgusting in Kamala's handlers, and Kamala should be ashamed of themselves, perhaps, or Hitler is perhaps the worst human who has ever lived, getting 269 likes, which is definitely up there. People don't talk about Stalin enough. I mean, there's, geez, the number of his own people, then of course Mao, it's horrifying. Erica Kaiser says this is beyond repulsive to say Trump, a man who hasn't killed anyone, is Hitler, a man who is responsible for killing millions of Jews, getting 694 likes. Just the Guy says, after watching this, any politician / media personality that calls Trump Hitler again should be tried for treason and deported to Canada, getting 511 likes, which in the U.S. we do have an issue. We do have is a part of our culture, part of the Bill of Rights. We are against cruel and unusual punishment. I venture to say that deporting someone to Canada, that would be the definition of cruel and unusual punishment. I mean, that dictator Trudeau running that country, and all the lack of rights over there, the overuse of maple syrup, and having all, constantly vigilant about the beavers and mooses attacking you. I mean, going to Canada, that's a little too far. No one should be deported there. And again, we also have freedom of speech to be able to say whatever you want. It's all, I think, it's visually disgusting to compare Trump to that. And now people on the right do compare, Kamala to communism. They call her Commie Kamala. She wants to control prices, ban guns, and of course she censored us, which she actually has done some of those things. But none of them are comparing her to Hitler. A lot of them are comparing. I think there's maybe semantics, but to me, there's a little delineation. The differences comparing someone's policies to compare the person to the person. So to me, I think it's different to say, this policy was used by the bad guys for World War II. I think that's different than just saying they're the guy for World War II. And we look at who has had the policies most similar when it comes to gun confiscations, like that. I think that those analogies are more appropriate. And I also think it's ineffective from, the Democrat, move on the political chessboard, so to say. Because they've been calling Trump Hitler for, 10 years now? And shoot, they've been using that mantra since, Bush was in office? They've been doing that for decades. It's not good because it kind of dilutes in terms of kind of like crying wolf. And it's just lost all meaning. Very similar to, everyone was very concerned about being called a racist, years ago. That word has been used so many times, it's basically lost all meaning, where now it's just, they brush it off. Which is good because, in the United States, it is much more rare these days, but when it doesn't come up, it should be socially addressed. Now, let's see. Fight with Memes, who does in fact respond in meme form, good name. Fight with Memes says, quote, the constant comparisons to Hitler are so childish, it's exhausting, it's disrespectful, and it's untrue. And it's, what is it? Was it Bill Murray? Is it Groundhog Day? It says, Trump is literally Hitler today, again, getting 17 likes. Thomas Lundy says Kamala's rhetoric is literally out of control, getting 68 likes, which is funny. The same day that Obama says, how is our country getting so divided? Then Kamala does this. Let's see. Do one or two more. Stop Socialist Tyranny says, Kamala comparing Trump to Hitler. Ironically, the real authoritarianism today comes from woke brigade weaponizing the government. Even survivors see through this madness. History teaches, guess some skipped class, getting 155 likes. Or perhaps in their defense, they went to public schools in the United States, which again, have a 32-year low ACT score. The teachers are very much busy teaching about gender ideology and other things. Not all the time, but you can't help but see the more and more mounting evidence. Let's see here. Mike Lund, interesting picture, says, quote, thanks, Clay. Listened to you in your broadcast today and just reposted this. Democrats always name call when they get desperate. The Hitler Nazi fascist is a time-honored tradition of Democrats when they have nothing else to offer. Looks like they have a little picture compilation of everyone they've called Nazis throughout the years. Which, let me pull up. Well, let's see here. I'm trying to zoom in a second here so I can make it easier, a little bit more legible for me to read. It looks like, they've called everyone. The Barry Goldwater, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, and Donald Trump. Which, they seem to be very lazy in terms of just copy-pasting the same rhetoric time and time and time again. Well, I guess specifically time and time and time and time and time and time and time again and time again. So not too many contrarian comments here. Now, that being said, I wonder how much this will reinvigorate her voting base to vote for her, get out the vote. Will it win over some independents? Well, I don't suspect it'll do much for independent voters, personally. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I mean, it's kind of it's just cliche. I've been doing it so often, but do you think that's still an effective move on the political chessboard? I mean, do you think more and more people are becoming irate and just either ignoring it or critiquing her even more for bringing it up? Let me know your thoughts are, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news: you have a federal judge ordering illegals to be reinstated on Virginia voter rolls, which, yep, only happening. It's almost unfathomable how how corrupt the U.S. is right now. Now, this is coming from Glenn Youngkin on X Twitter. He says, quote, "Just to be clear, what just happened? Only 11 days before the presidential election, a federal judge ordered Virginia to reinstate over 1,500 individuals who self-identified themselves as non-citizens back into voter rolls." Which, yep. I mean, I guess no one's surprised at this point. Even though they're illegal, they're going to be voting because the U.S. is so corrupt. That was, I mean, I suspect that was the reason why they registered so many of them so close to the election, because they knew there's some more mentally vacuous, archaic law that says you can't remove people this close to the election, which, if they're illegal, it's just ridiculous. Thankfully, this went moderately viral, though I don't know at this point what can realistically be done. You get 1.3 million views and 27,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from, what is this, leftist Luke Zaleski? Well, not really leftist. That's not really his name. That's what I call him. He says, quote, "I still can't believe that Republicans let Trump walk on treason. That's going to fester me forever. They let him," oh geez, how mentally vacuous is this guy? "They let him attack the U.S. Capitol in broad daylight to overthrow the government. Their gall matched only by their contempt for American people." Mentally vacuous, but got 111 likes. Yeah, remember when Trump said to, peacefully protest? When the police walked people through a building? Remember when they have Ray-Ups, that alleged Fed who, push people? But yeah, he did get some likes, Luke. And again, in true leftist fashion, they never address the core substance of the post. They seem to just copy-paste Orange Man bad or Elon bad. Going down to real comments. Let's see here. Franklin, the weird leftist who is a guy who has an anime picture of a girl as his name, says, "You acted within 90 days, getting 5 likes. Ridiculous. True Patriot says, "Judge must be reprimanded and replaced and disbarred. It is a felony to vote if you're a non-citizen." Well, not if you're voting Democrat, maybe. Got 1.5 thousand likes. Joshua Reed says, "To stop recognizing federal authority, use the 10th Amendment and implement executive action to implement state jurisdiction." Okay, 2.1 thousand likes. Paratrooper Brady says, quote, "I'm confused. I thought back in March, SCOTUS said federal judges don't have the authority to rule on state elections. Why is this federal judge and others allowed to decide then?" Okay, 1.7 thousand likes. Dr. Ben Braddock says, "Your only obligation to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia. The federal judge has no legitimacy here." Getting 5.4 thousand likes. Carissa says, "Who is the judge? It's time all Americans contact his or her office and ask why." Getting 623 likes. Jim Benson, pronouns are MAGA world leader. "Good marketing, you know exactly what they're all about." He says, quote, "Someone needs to have the names of these non-citizens currently on voter rolls and prosecute them if they do vote." Getting 549 likes. Yeah, but seems like, you only held accountable one side these days, the political aisle. Being libertarian. They actually got the hashtag. That's a pretty good one. Hashtag BN libertarian. Says, quote, "Decentralization, stop recognizing the feds." Getting 522 likes. May says, "Just ignore it. That's what Democrats do." Getting 1.1 thousand likes. Let's see. Paige Buffington says, quote, "You have the 10th Amendment on your side, Glenn Youngkin." It's a picture of the 10th Amendment saying, quote, "The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by the states are reserved for the states respectively or the people." That got 680 likes. Bill Holloway says, quote, "Serious question. How did they get their roles in the first place? Second question, why not just remove them earlier?" Getting 357 likes. Which I do wonder, did they wait until this 90-day period to register them so that they couldn't be removed? That seems like what they would probably do. Someone by the name of Gay Patriot says, quote, should ignore the ruling just like Biden and student loans, getting 787 likes. Mike Flynn Jr. says, tell the judge to F off, getting 803 likes, which, not just moral doing the right thing, but just, political moves on chessboard. Glenn Youngkin probably should do that. I mean, shoot, I'm sure some people will re-elect him, like, that get him some more libertarian, I think they'll get more people to vote for him, to be frank. You also have JD Sharp says, do not listen to him, getting 244 likes. Geek says the ruling is unconstitutional, should be ignored, getting 229 likes. Loki Ray says the same DOJ sued Alabama too for trying to purge non-citizens from their voter rolls. This is also the same Department of Justice that sued Texas and Arizona for trying to secure their border. And the same DOJ that has targeted Trump supporters while protecting Biden is weaponized, getting 388 likes. That, quite frankly, should get more than that. We get 389 likes. Barry Blanco says, Glenn, I admire your tenacity. Take it a step further. Hold Jason into your office and tell him that you're going to take the gloves off. Tell him to kick rocks, brother, please. Getting 514 likes. Will Tanner simply says nullify, getting 391 likes. So again, everyone is in favor. And again, Glenn Youngkin should do that. I mean, it quite literally is illegal for illegals to vote in the federal election, and yet the federal government is saying, oh no, you have to let them happen. Seems ridiculous, though I guess in 2024 of this election, I'm not surprised. Now, the only question is, what will Glenn Youngkin do in response? Will he try... What are your thoughts are? Will he try to overrule it? Will he simply ignore it? How will that happen? How will that end at the end of the day? I really do wonder. But it certainly does not embolden anyone's belief that the U.S. voting system is safe or secure. But let me know in the comments your thoughts are, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Trump completing 2 times more events than Kamala Harris as we lead up to the election. Now, this comes to us thanks to Joe Concha, and he says, quote, Kamala Harris has completed 36 campaign events, 31 media appearances, 13 rallies, while Trump, on the other hand, has completed 46 campaign events, plus 10, and he's completed 62 media appearances, plus 31, and 19 rallies, plus, 6 more, which, Trump has also been he's also done these, I mean, as youth might say, this is badass. Well, he's also done that in spite of being shot at. So he's had multiple assassination attempts, and he's still rocking and rolling. While Kamala goes to rudimentary interviews where they actually have the questions ahead of time, and she reads off the teleprompter. Yeah. Now, the Harris campaign, quote, hey, why don't you keep saying Trump is exhausted and see if the media echoes it? Because, yeah, no one's buying that. I mean, Trump is fueled by McDonald's and Diet Coke. You can't stop that man. And presumably he'll be preserved forever in terms of, all preservatives in those foods. Perhaps that's why he appears to age less than any other president in U.S. history. I kind of suspect that might be true. Only partially kidding. Now, here's a cool infographic where you pull up actual locations of where they're spending their time. You have one that says, where has Kamala Harris been campaigning? 53 events since September 1st, which I look so perplexed because I'm not sure how mentally vacuous Kamala Harris is, but she's spending a lot of time in California, which is the most useless. I mean, that's the dumbest use of her time in her life. California has been blue for decades, and they also have, a disproportionate amount of illegals there as well. I mean, and all the people who used to be more Republican-leaning in California has left, and California has alienated more and more businesses and people throughout the years with more regulation and taxes, as well as, record high crime, as well as, basically decriminalizing most theft, or, theft used to be a felony up to $950. It's now just a misdemeanor. So, I mean, a lot of people who were right-leaning has left California. I don't know why they'd be there to begin with, but yeah, she's spending any more than a day in California is a waste for Kamala Harris. I mean, of all the states that I would gamble, and I'm not a gambling man, that I would guess, oh yeah, that's going blue, it'd be California and Illinois, or as people who live there call it Illinois. I mean, that's their stronghold, and yet she's spending a lot of time there. Now, it makes more sense she's spending time in Arizona, also the whole, swing states. Although Iowa doesn't get enough loving. Now, she's gone to 7 events in Wisconsin, which again, that makes sense. Michigan's been she's been there for 9 events, which again, that makes sense. Those are pre-contingent states. They tend to go back and forth. She's also spent a fair amount of time over in New Hampshire, a little bit of time in New York, which I'm pretty pessimistic in terms of New York flipping. Now, she spent most of her time in Pennsylvania. That makes sense, just strategically speaking. There's more analysts than I can count saying if you win Pennsylvania, you win everything. Because there's only like a 3 or 4% chance of winning if you don't win Pennsylvania. There's a lot riding on that state. It's fascinating that they voted for her at all, or Biden at all, throughout the years, because again, they both rallied saying we're going to ban fracking, which is one of the big economic things they do in Pennsylvania. I mean, fun fact, Pennzoil, the company, it used to be called Pennsylvania Oil. They used to actually get it from there. Fun business fact of the day. But yeah, she's done 11 events in Pennsylvania, done a little bit in Virginia, a little bit in North Carolina, and then a fair amount in Georgia, which the fact that it's ever gone blue is just pathetic. They're the home of some of the coolest companies, including the U.S. headquarters for Glock. You got Daniel Defense, you got Heckler & Koch, or Koch, depending on how you pronounce that German company. I know those are the largest companies on the planet, but to me, they're some of the coolest ones. And yeah, it makes sense she's spending most of her time in Pennsylvania. Now going to the Trump map, again, in terms of fundraisers, again, she's done, campaign events, 36, media appearances, 31. I mean, probably just one that didn't have a teleprompter. She also has 13 rallies and 4 fundraisers. Now, Trump has done 71 events since September 1st, and he's covering a lot more of the states. Now, he's had, again, 46 campaign events, 62 media appearances, 19 rallies, and 6 fundraisers. Now, Trump, I'm pretty shocked he's spending a fair amount of time in California, which, again, I'm pretty skeptical. I don't think it'd be flipped. Maybe I'll be wrong. I hope I am. But again, California's been blue for years. He spent a fair amount of time in Nevada, which makes sense. Arizona, again, pretty contiguous state, makes sense as well. Interestingly enough, Utah, also Colorado, great state of, some might argue, great country, Texas, which unfortunately, I'm not sure how these people don't learn, but it's actually becoming purple throughout the years as people from California move to Texas. Which again, if your policies suck, part of the French, so bad that your state is bankrupt and is lost more businesses and people than ever before, probably don't want to replicate that. Again, don't California my Texas. There's actually some people, I met them at a half marathon a couple years ago. They had a Democrat, a booth at the pre-race. You pick up your race packet, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, we have a proposition. We want to implement an income tax for Texas." And I gave them a look as if they were so alien, because I was like, "Why the hell would you try to take away one of the best things in Texas? How dare you?" Obviously, it wasn't bombastic. I just simply said not interested. But yeah, that is ridiculous. Now, Trump has spent a lot of, you can see the little cool dots, kind of shows you the signification of how many times he's been there. See a fair amount in Wisconsin, a little bit more in Michigan, which again, any union member, and again, I think the union heads, they're going for Kamala Harris, because again, the game's, but Trump, when you look at the guys who actually assemble the cars, hardworking union members who realize that Democrats are destroying their jobs with the EV mandates, because again, EVs mean less physical labor to make the vehicles, less jobs in that regard. There'll be different jobs, mostly software, research, engineering. But yeah, the fact they're trying to ban the most profitable things they make in Michigan, where again, some union members get bonuses based on the performance of the car sales. Yeah, they should all be voting Trump, and I think many of them will. That's why he's spending a fair amount of Trump time in Michigan. About, let's say, 9 events in New York, which, probably crazy. It's been so blue throughout history. It's been blue for so long. Maybe it's in play. I'm skeptical. Now, it makes sense. Pennsylvania is the biggest one at 16 events, which, again, makes sense. A few events in D.C., a lot in North Carolina, coming at 8, Georgia, Alabama, as well as Florida. And they noted that the maps do not include media interviews, which, again, Florida, again, some of this is probably humanitarian effort, as well as campaign helping the hurricane victims. And it is interesting. It seems I'll just all rest on Pennsylvania. I can't but think that's going to be like everyone is tuning into that state. One time a year we talk about it, every 4 years. I'm only partially kidding. I know they have the steel industry there. In terms of sports balls, I know they do have the Pittsburgh Steelers and Pennzoil. Need to research more about Pennsylvania. I only partially kid. Now, going to the main comment section. Again, this got about 32,000 views and 5.1 thousand likes. And yeah, it just shows you just the astronomical volume of things Trump is doing in terms of activities. Well, the first one comes from Sarah Rose. Says, quote, Kamala only talks for 10 to 15 minutes at her campaigns and rally events compared to Trump, who speaks for over an hour every time. Getting 1.4 thousand likes, which very true. Trump also doesn't need a teleprompter most of the time. Or suspiciously large Volkswagen size looking earrings that look suspiciously like audio gear. I still can't get over the fact that Kamala has many different outfits, and she wears the same earrings. I've consulted my female family members and friends. Yeah, I'm pretty sure women like to accessorize, as they would say. They don't wear the same earrings with all the same outfits, or all different outfits. To me, as a youth might say, that is sus. You have David Sullivan, hashtag, or probably pronouns prosecute Fauci, says, never a politician. Now the best politician and performer. This picture of Donald Trump with Muhammad Ali got 151 likes. Scrolling down more and more. DNO says Kamala Harris defeated herself. This picture of Kamala just looking awkward in a bunch of photos. Which, again, if you do a screenshot of any video, you'll get an awkward picture of the people. I mean, and some people like me have a disproportionate amount of time on camera where you have awkward moments, so it's even easier to get those screenshots. Now, that did get 202 likes. Dave Champagne says, quote, she's either collapsing or Trump is not outworking Harris. It's kind of funny. The younger candidate is being outworked by a 78-year-old man. It's not close. True, getting 238 likes. Jonesy says, let's be serious for a moment. All of Harris's appearances have been scripted. Remove 30 of the 31 media appearances, and you're left with one CNN disaster. No one with a brain would vote for this failure. Getting 291 likes. Sorry, 271 likes, which you would think that, however, to a certain extent, it really doesn't matter how she performs on camera. She could literally do anything because there's a huge cult that says vote blue no matter who, which is ridiculous. There are some people who do that on the right, don't get me wrong. Just because there's an R next to someone's name, they'll vote for him. However, I see there's a whole movement. It's a whole mantra on the left by leftists. And I'm quite concerned that it's not just leftists who have that ideology. It's actually more and more increasing number of people in the Democrat Party. Now, you also have Jang Blank saying, quote, and zero celebrities to draw in crowds. Trump attendees come to see Trump and not music set. True, getting 141 likes. But remember, Kamala has the endorsement of Taylor Swift, who is an enthusiastic cleaning sales representative. I can't imagine how much money Taylor Swift is making off the Swifter. I mean, that Swifter at Walmart, you see him on the shelves selling like hotcakes. I suspect that's really how that Taylor Swift is a millionaire, or a billionaire rather. That's my theory. She actually makes money off the Swifter, the quicker picker-uppers. I mean, this has to be her, right? I mean, she has a whole song called Pick It Up or Wipe It Off, something like that. It's all about cleaning and making bad decisions about men, which is even more hilarious that she endorsed, Biden and now Kamala. Yeah. Now, Vince Langman says, quote, but Trump is tired and old, LOL, getting 440 likes, rather. Let's see. Nathan says, and many of those events have been speaking for hours. Kamala has never worked hard. She's never built anything. She doesn't know the grind, getting 113 likes. Yeah, the only grind Kamala Harris knows is grinding her fancy pepper onto a salad. Yeah, culinary pun. Maybe. You have Galigi says, someone please give the number of minutes that Harris spoke at her events versus how many minutes Trump did. You'll see a big divide, getting 68 likes. And yeah, can't help but think that's true. There's a horrifyingly creepy picture of Kamala cackling. It says, it's AI generated saying cackling Kamala, a communist, getting 5 likes. Let's see. Not seeing too many contrarian statements. No way. I'll read it. There's no likes, but it's funny. I'll read it. Someone by the name of X Daily says, Maple MAGA shirt link. And it's literally a Canadian t-shirt that says Maple MAGA. Fiend Canada? Which, that's kind of funny. And I feel bad for the people who are under the authoritarian boot of Trudeau. There are some good Canadians out there, don't get me wrong. One of the most brilliant Canadians of all time is perhaps the inventor of the M1 Garand, or some people call it the M1 Garand. Guy's a genius. As one of the best, John Patton called it one of the best implements of, or tools of war in history. Fun gun fact of the day. So, yeah, it's pretty, I'm not too surprised because, again, Trump's gone on darn near every famous podcast. He went on Joe Rogan. He's out there, as you might say, hustling and doing actually long, coherent interviews, not scripted, which, again, is something Kamala cannot do. That's why that should be the biggest red flag for folks. Kamala turned down the opportunity to interview on Joe Rogan, the #1 podcast on the planet, an opportunity most people would kill for, to have an ability to articulate all of your ideals in long format, really get into the details. And Kamala said, no, we don't want to go Joe Rogan. I suspect, because she can't hold a conversation more than 3 minutes without a teleprompter, or those comically large earrings that, again, look suspiciously like audio devices. But yeah, the fact she did go on Joe Rogan, which, again, there are a diverse audience. I would say it's maybe a little bit more right-leaning on average on Joe Rogan, but he has a lot of people on the left to listen to him, a lot of people in the middle, a lot of people on the right. That would have been a phenomenal opportunity for her to explain how she's going to do things differently. Oh, wait, no. she said multiple times in interviews she would not do anything differently than she's done in the past 3.5 years, which, talk about political blunder of the century, perhaps. So, not too surprised. Out of curiosity, are you surprised that Trump's done about 2 times more events than Kamala Harris? And do you think at the end of the day, will it make it, again, a lot of podcast interviews with Donald Trump, do you think that'll help him gain more and more people who are, libertarian minded, to go follow him and go vote for him? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Costco recalling Salmon, which not great for a brand that everyone knows and loves, because again, Costco, some say is king, having some of the best values out there. Now, this comes to us thanks to Megan Corello. It says, quote, oh, we'll pop up there. Costco recalls Salmon over listeria concerns, which, yep, it's not just hamburgers these days, and waffles. Now, going to the article here, again, this is thanks to Megan, who's a writer over there, saying, quote, Costco is recalling packages of salmon over concerns it might be contaminated with listeria. Now, this isn't supposed to be a joke, but it reminds me of the Roadrunner. The company's called Acme Fishing Corp. Or perhaps an anvil manufacturer. I'm like partially jesting. So let's quote, the Acme Fishing Corp, or Smoked Fish Corp, the shop's club salmon provider, sent a notice to Costco shoppers this week, informing them of a recall of Kirkland's signature smoked salmon due to potential contamination with listeria monoclonated bacteria. The notice was sent to customers whose Costco records should purchase affected fish products between October 9th and October 13th. Only packages from lot number, get a good pen out to write this down because you're going to need a lot of ink. Again, it's lot number 8512801270. Again, the lot number for the affected salmon recall is 8512801270. They know that customers who purchased the recalled salmon were instructed not to eat it and return to Costco for a full refund. You have Acme Fishing Corp CEO Eduardo saying, quote, we regret this unfortunate incident and is taking immediate corrective steps to ensure this issue never happens again. Now, diving back more into the article, now, thankfully, this has been not, as of today, there hasn't been any reports of anyone who's gotten sick from it. So, silver lining from this particular situation. I mean, no one's been hurt from it, and that's, obviously best case scenario, but it still damages your brand. And it's one of those issues where, again, people go to Costco because they trust it. It's an issue where, not half the value, but a big part of the company brand is, Costco, they have the best quality of not just service, but they're going to fight like hell to get you the best deal out there. And really, they only make money from the actual membership cards or the memberships. So that's why it's the extra, good value for the buck. And the fact that Costco, their quality assurance team missed this, even though, yes, no one's been hurt from it, thankfully, the fact that the Costco team missed it to begin with, gotta say Costco, the salmon recall, that's certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.